Hi everybody, I'm Jeff and I used to own Missouri Wind and Solar here in Seymour, Missouri. Today I'd like to talk about our hometown newspaper, the Webster County Citizen, owned by Dan Weimer. He is the editor, publisher, and the owner of the paper. It's a little one-town, small town paper like that. Well, this guy's the only thing going. Well, I wanted to do a little rebuttal of an article that he had wrote saying that we're all Jews, and Joe Biden is Adolf Hitler. And that's a picture of Dan Weimer, the owner of the Webster County Citizen. Local racist and nut job. He was abducted by aliens, allegedly. Now, he wrote the article September 1st, 2021. And there's the page, the Webster County Citizen, and it's publisher's pen. History repeats itself. Now this guy pretty much represents Seymour and everybody that lives in a town about 2,000. So let me give you an idea what the article is about. He starts out roughly 90 years ago, after being named Chancellor of Nazi Germany. Adolf Hitler began his purge of opponents, namely Jews, by tracking their monetary assets of all German banks. Let's skip on down to the good part. Oddly, it appears, this practice is coming to America, courtesy of President Joe Biden's new version of economics. Call it financial fascism. Yes, he says, it mirrors the practice of the Nazis that began in 1933. Except all of us are the Jews. Well, I'm a longtime liberal and Democrat, and you're wondering, well, what's the purpose of this guy writing this article? It's simple. He's following Tucker Carlson's lead and trying to piss people off. He wants every Democrat and liberal in town to hate the Republicans. That, I guess, is his goal. The problem is this guy represents all of Seymour. And recently what had happened is a friend of mine called me and thought about moving here and was looking for a house, and he ran into the Citizen newspaper, Dan Weimer's article. And he calls me up and he says, "Holy shit, have you seen this article?" And I said, "Yeah, I seen it." And he said, "There's no way I'm moving there. This is..." And I go, "Hey, yeah, okay." And he says, "It's like white supremacist, it's like, what is that, Trump land there?" And I said, "Yes, it is Trump land. The Trump tards are everywhere. And if you're not one of them, they're going to put the hates on you. You can see their flags all over town. They're everywhere. Trump 2020, Trump 2024. And there was even a guy cruising around town with a 3-foot by 5-foot flag in the back pocket of his pickup truck that said, this is all it said, F-U-C-K Biden. Now that guy was allowed to cruise around town with that flag. All over town. Cops didn't bother him one bit. And you see him all the time. And I'm sick of this guy, Dan Weimer. I have people all the time ask me if I'm part of this shit. And I says, hell no. I moved here about 12 years ago. And I pretty much stick to ourselves. We live a mile out of town, out of the city limits. But I'm telling you, you go into that city, and that's all you see, Trump flags everywhere. And I'm the only guy, I think, that flew a Biden-Harris 2020 flag out of my front yard. And I didn't think it was going to do me any good. So it did me more harm than it did good. Now the Seymour Apple Festival just ended, and it goes for 3 days in September. I think it's 9th, 10th, and 11th. And it's all right. It brings in thousands of people every year. The people interested in moving here. Well, after living here as long as I have, if you're a Democrat or a liberal, don't even bother. I mean, they'll even go after your kids at school. Well, there's a couple little towns over next door, Diggins and Portland. You bring up Joe Biden's name and they'll about throw you out of school. The teachers even go after kids that mention his name. They went after kids that have mentioned Obama's name and told them not to even bring it up again. This is school teachers, okay? They brainwash these kids, and this is what they feed into them. Now you can also see Confederate flags flying all over town. And one guy in town, he's got a Confederate flag painted on a big old board. He sticks out in his front yard. And basically Missouri was part of the Deep South, Confederate stuff. And obviously they don't know the Confederates lost. So they're kind of waving flags, losing side, you know what I mean? So people, if you're from out of town and you're a Republican, or you're a Democrat or a liberal, I would think twice about ever moving here. You're going to run into a lot of Trump stuff, and these people are die-hard Trump supporters. But it's Dan Weimer. You can't say anything in his paper because he's the one who writes all these opinions. And so I thought, well, the only way I could respond to this article that he wrote is just do a YouTube video. And what I'm calling for is all of the people that advertise in Weimer's paper, the Webster County Citizen, is to pull your ads. Unless you like being depicted as a bunch of dumb hillbillies. And that's exactly what Weimer does. So when I first moved to Seymour and I bought property, people from in town kept coming out to my building all the time, basically wanting me to know where I go to church. And I said, man, I don't go to church. And they wanted to know whether I was Republican or Democrat or liberal or what. And I always kind of played it off, you know, because of business and everything. In the end, I started saying, screw you. I'm a Democrat. And Republicans really don't have nothing to do with green energy, you know, wind and solar. Not really. They're into it for the money. They want to save money. Now, Democrats and liberals, wind and solar and alternative energy is their thing. And they do it mainly to save the planet. And all I ever got when I owned the store, Missouri Wind and Solar, was Republicans wanted to do it to save money. As far as global warming, hell no, that ain't happening. That's made up by Al Gore. So anyway, let's go back to Dan Weimer and the Webster County Citizen. If you have an ad that you're running in Webster County Citizen, pull your ad. Let Dan Weimer know that you're not going to tolerate this guy. He comes across like a white supremacist. That you're not going to let this guy represent you and your business in Seymour. Because really, everybody that hands this guy money keeps him publishing. And they keep publishing the same crap. Here's worse yet. This guy is on the city council. He's an alderman in Seymour. Yeah, everybody's good with that. So when you see these little articles around Seymour, there's no racism and stuff here. Bullshit. There's all kinds of racism. There's no racism if you're a Trump yard. Oh, hell no. Pretty much, the majority of people that live here are Republicans or they're libertarians. Okay? And the libertarians will tell you, oh, I didn't vote for Trump. Well, yeah, they did. Libertarians ain't none more than the Republicans. And they tell you they're libertarians, so they don't want to get into an argument with you about 4 years of Donald Trump shit. So they play that game. Anyway, I'm glad I'm out of the business and glad I'm not doing working with the public anymore because it's just gotten worse. Well, I hope the people that live in Seymour understand that the rest of the country sees us through the eyes of Dan Weimer, the Webster County citizen. That's what they see. A bunch of dumb hillbillies still living in the deep south. Well, I'm not from here. I live a good share of my life in Arizona. I was born and raised in Michigan. So I've lived all over the U.S. and I can tell you the racism here is alive and well. Just down the road, about 50 miles, Harrison, Arkansas. And that Harrison, Arkansas is the home of the Ku Klux Klan. Even in Springfield, when I moved here, there was one of the highways that was adopted by the KKK. Okay, so it's alive and well here. Now I have made some pretty good friends here, and a lot of them are liberals and Democrats, and even some of them are Republicans that I get along with. But they're very few and far in between. I don't socialize with people too much here. It's too many arguments to get into, dumbasses. By the way, the stories that Weimer, I wouldn't say that they're factual. They're more like Tucker Carlson, his opinions. So if you believe Tucker Carlson, you'll definitely believe Dan Weimer. So it's too bad he's on the city council. I wish they'd get him off. And I just hate being in a town that's represented by a moron such as Dan Weimer. I'll be doing some more of these videos, just a few more, and then I'll be done. But it's just something I had to say. And I couldn't say that stuff while I owned the store, Missouri Minnesota. It's just bad for business to take a political side, if you're in business. So it doesn't help you, I can tell you that. Well, anyway, I'm Jeff, and that's all I have to say for now. And until the next video, adios.